I knew something was wrong the second I opened the file. Not because of what was inside it, but because of who left it on my desk. People in the agency don't leave things. They sign things. They log things. They lock things. But this? A plain brown folder with no tag, no routing slip, no clearance stamp? That was a message. I sat there staring at it, feeling that small pressure behind my ribs that shows up when your instincts beat your brain to the truth. And the truth was simple. Someone wanted me to see this, and they didn't want to be connected to it. I opened the folder anyway. It was thin. Too thin for anything official. Inside was a single photograph, grainy, black and white, taken from a long lens. A man standing outside a gas station somewhere rural. He was older, thinner than I remembered, but I knew the posture, the tilt of the head. It was Mark Delaney. My mentor. My partner. My closest friend in the agency. And the man we buried 12 years ago. At least, that's who we buried. I felt my throat get tight. My hands suddenly had that warm shake to them, the one you don't want anyone else to see. Under the photograph was a note. One line. You were right about him. No signature. No mark. Just those 5 words, printed in the exact plain font used for anonymous internal memos that don't want to sound emotional. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the past crawl out from the long places I had tried to hide it. Delaney's face stared at me from the photo, older, yes, but unmistakably alive. 12 years ago, he died during an operation I should have been on with him. I was pulled last minute. He wasn't. I remember the funeral, the speeches, the soft lie everyone told themselves. It was an accident. It couldn't have been prevented. But in the back of my mind, I always had that question that keeps people awake at 3 a.m. What if he didn't die the way they said he did? Now the question was dead. Only one remained. Where had he been for 12 years? And why was he watching gas stations in the middle of nowhere? Before I could think further, my phone vibrated. A single message from an unknown encrypted number. Don't tell anyone yet. I didn't know who sent it. But I did know one thing. Whoever wanted me to see that photo wasn't done with me. And whether I liked it or not, I had just stepped back into something I thought I left behind. I didn't leave the building the normal way. You don't walk out with something like that and risk the cameras catching your face at the wrong angle. Instead, I went down the service stairs, through a hallway only the janitors used, and stepped out into the alley behind the agency's main annex. Cold air hit my face. It helped, just enough to let my thoughts settle. Delaney. Alive. 12 years of believing what I was told. 12 years of telling myself the story made sense. It never did. I walked to my car, unlocked it, and sat inside without turning the engine on. I kept the photo on my lap, staring at the blurred edges like they might change if I blinked enough times. Why show me this now? Why not send it to someone else? Why pick the one person who still thought about him? Before I could follow that thread, another vibration buzzed against my hip, same number. If you speak to anyone in the building, he'll disappear again. A chill went through me. The kind that starts between your shoulders and sinks into your spine. Someone was watching my movements in real time. I started the engine. There was only one person who would know how to trace a burner like that, a woman named Sarah Holt. She wasn't CIA anymore. She walked away 5 years ago after a disagreement with leadership so loud the walls probably still remembered it. I drove to her neighborhood with steady speed. I didn't want to look rushed. Rush makes tales curious. When I reached her street, I parked across from her old townhouse. No lights inside. Curtains drawn. No movement. But Sarah Holt was too paranoid to be gone without leaving a sign. I walked up the front steps and froze. A small strip of tape sat across the edge of the door, half peeled. Someone had entered. Recently. I didn't touch it. Instead, I stepped back, scanned the windows again, and caught something small, hardly visible, stuck under the frame. A folded note. I eased it free. Just one line. Don't look for me. Look for him. My chest tightened. Sarah had seen the same photo I had, or something worse. And she knew I'd come. But if she wasn't here, where was she? And why did she think I needed to find Delaney before anyone found her? I put the note in my pocket, stepped off the porch, and walked back toward the car. For the first time since morning, the street felt wrong, too still, too careful. Someone else had been here. Maybe still was. I reached my car door. A voice behind me said quietly, "Don't turn around." My hand froze on the handle. The voice was male. Mid-40s tone. Calm. Controlled. I didn't reach for my gun. Not yet. If someone wants you dead, they don't talk first. "Get in," the voice said. "Driver's seat." I opened the door slowly and sat. The man slipped into the back seat without revealing his face. I watched his reflection in the rearview mirror, but he kept his head angled down so the shadow swallowed everything. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "I could say the same for you." He ignored that. "You've opened a door you can't close. Tell me something I don't know." He leaned forward just enough for me to see part of his jaw, tight, clean-shaven, the kind of jaw that had clenched through classified decisions. "You're looking for Delaney," he said. I didn't answer. "That's fine. But understand this, the version of him you knew, isn't the one walking around now." My stomach tightened. What does that mean? It means someone used him, broke him, rebuilt him, and they're not done with him. I stared at the mirror. Who? But the man just exhaled, a small, tired exhale that sounded like someone carrying a truth too heavy to hold cleanly. "When you find him," he said, "don't let him talk too long." I frowned. "Why not?" "Because he won't be talking to you." That landed like a stone. Heavy. Senseless. True in a way I didn't understand yet. Before I could ask more, he reached for the door. "Wait," I said. "Sarah Holt, did you take her?" His pause lasted half a heartbeat. "No," he said softly. "But whoever did, wants you to think he's still the same man you remember." And then he stepped out, closed the door, and disappeared down the street like a shadow that didn't want to be caught by light. I sat there for a few seconds, breathing slowly. Then I finally said the thing I had been avoiding since the moment I opened the folder. "This isn't about Delaney coming back. Someone brought him back. I drove. No destination. Just motion. People think intelligence work is all planned routes and clean timing. It's not. It's instinct, and right now mine told me that staying still was the same as being followed. The desert highway outside town was empty enough for thinking but straight enough for breathing. I pulled over and got out, letting the cool air slap the heat off my skin. I replayed the man's words. "He won't be talking to you." Something about that stuck in my teeth. Delaney had been the kind of man who mentored with patience, not orders. He was steady. Thoughtful. You didn't rebuild someone like that unless you were using him as a tool. But for what? My phone buzzed again. Same number. Gas station. Exit 14. "He'll be there in 20 minutes. My pulse kicked. I got back into the car, started it, and drove. When I reached exit 14, the gas station was exactly like the photo, dusty pumps, flickering sign, one old pickup parked outside. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then a figure walked out from behind the building. Tall. Gray hair around the edges. Shoulders slightly hunched like he'd carried something long enough for it to reshape him. I stepped out of the car, but not fully. One foot on the ground. One hand on the door. The man walked closer, stopping under the weak light of the pump. And I saw his face. Delaney. Alive. Real. 12 years older, but unmistakable. He looked at me with an expression that wasn't shock or happiness. It was recognition without warmth. Like he'd been expecting this moment for a long time. "Hey," I said quietly. For a second, I almost believed he might smile. But he didn't. Instead, he said the one sentence that cracked something deep in me. "You shouldn't have come." His voice was his, same tone, same steadiness. But something underneath was different. Not wrong. Just layered. "Where have you been?" I asked. He didn't answer. His eyes moved past me, scanning the dark edges of the lot, the highway, the brush beyond the fence. What are you looking for? I asked. Patterns, he said. What patterns? He exhaled the way people do when they want to speak but the words hurt. They don't like it when I talk too much. Who? He shook his head once, small, almost automatic. They're listening. Delaney, I said, 12 years ago, you died. We buried you. I gave a speech. You were gone. So tell me, who pulled you out of the ground? His jaw flexed. Not anger. Restraint. Finally, he said. I thought I could stay dead. I was wrong. A car engine hummed in the distance. We both turned. Nothing appeared. I took a small step forward. Did you leave the photo on my desk? No. Did you send the messages? No. So who's playing this game? He looked directly at me, and the expression in his eyes scared me more than any threat could. Someone who wants you to follow the wrong question. I swallowed. What's the right one? His lips parted. He hesitated. Then he said, ask yourself why they kept me alive. The lights of a semi blinked down the highway, approaching fast. Delaney stepped back. They're coming, he whispered. Don't stay. Who's coming? He didn't answer. He just walked backward into the dark, fading step by step, until the semi roared by and the dust swallowed the space where he had been. When the noise died, he was gone. And I was left with a truth I didn't want. He wasn't running from people. He was running from the version of himself they'd turned him into. I drove to the motel at the edge of town, the kind of place where no one asks if you pay in cash. The room smelled like old air conditioning and older carpet, but right now it was the safest small box I could find. I sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on knees, letting everything replay in order. Delaney alive. Sarah missing. The unknown man warning me. The watchers. The roads. The messages. It wasn't chaos. It was a pattern. Just not one I could see yet. I pulled out the gas station photo again. I studied the background, the angle of the sun, the direction of the shadows, the car parked too neatly at the pump. Someone had taken this picture recently. Someone close enough to know Delaney's movements. Someone who wanted me pulled into this without knowing why. I opened my laptop. No Wi-Fi. Good. The last thing I needed was a connection someone else could ride into my hard drive. I opened an offline tool, enhanced the edges of the photo, and zoomed in on the reflection in the gas station window. A faint figure. Too blurry to identify, but clear enough to show one thing. The person who photographed Delaney was standing only a few feet away from him. Meaning Delaney allowed it. He wasn't hiding from them. He was hiding from someone else. My phone buzzed. Not a message this time, a location ping. Someone had dropped coordinates onto my encrypted line. I entered them into an offline map. A point popped up. A house. Abandoned. 15 miles inland. I sat still for a moment, letting the choice settle. Then I grabbed my jacket. If someone wanted me to walk into a trap, fine. But I'd walk in knowing the walls were there. The road to the abandoned house was nothing but dirt and silence. The kind of route only locals used, and only when they had to. The house appeared after a long bend, a single-story structure with peeling paint and a porch swallowed by weeds. But the front door was open just an inch, swaying softly like someone had walked through recently. I parked away from the property, moved through the brush, and approached from the side. Inside, the air felt stale, like the world had forgotten to breathe here. I stepped slowly, letting the floorboards speak before I did. In the back room, I found her. Sarah Holt. Alive. Sitting in a chair with her hands tied, loosely, like whoever tied her wanted her to escape eventually. Her eyes lifted to mine. "Took you long enough," she whispered. I rushed forward. "Sarah, who did this?" She nodded at the rope. "Relax. It's staged." I froze. What? I tied myself. I stared at her. Why? Because I needed you to see this place without thinking I brought you here. That makes no sense. It will. She stood slowly, rubbing her wrists. You saw Delaney, she said. I didn't answer. She smirked. Don't bother lying. If you're here, it means he finally let you. Let me? Sarah nodded. He's been waiting for you to catch up. Catch up to what? She walked to the window, pushed aside the curtain, and looked out at the dark fields. To the truth, she said. He didn't disappear 12 years ago. My breath tightened. Sarah. He didn't die, she continued. He was taken. By who? She turned and looked at me. Her eyes were heavy with a truth she didn't want to carry. By us, she said. It felt like someone had cracked the room open. What do you mean us? I asked. The agency, she said quietly. Not the people you know. The ones under them. The ones who operate in the part of the building no badge can open. I stared at her. No one told me. Because they didn't want you involved. Why not? She stepped closer. Because Delaney trusted you. And they needed someone without ties. Ties to what? To the program, she said. What program? She hesitated. Not because she was unsure, but because saying it out loud made it real again. The Conduit Project. The room felt smaller. The air quieter. I whispered, what was it for? Her voice dropped. Control. Of what? People. Thoughts. Influence. Connections between minds that shouldn't connect. I shook my head. No. That's impossible. It was impossible, she said. Until Delaney. My stomach dropped. Why him? He fit the profile, she said. Calm. Focused. Trauma-resistant. High pattern recognition. And he was loyal enough to walk into a test he didn't understand. My throat tightened. He would never agree to something like that. He didn't, she said. Not fully. They told him it was a strategic interrogation program. They didn't tell him he was the tool, not the operator. I stepped back. I felt something cold behind my ribs, anger wrapped in betrayal. Why tell me now? I asked. Because he's slipping, she said. And the people who rebuilt him want him contained, not found. So why didn't they grab him already? Because someone else got to him first. Who? She lowered her voice. The side that wants him to remember. A chill crawled up my spine. And you're part of that side? She didn't answer. Which was answer enough. Then she walked to the front door and opened it wider. You need to see him again, she said. Before they find you both. How do we find him? We don't, she said. He finds us. I frowned. How? Because he never stopped tracking you. Before I could respond, headlights flashed across the field. A car. Fast. Approaching. Sarah's jaw tightened. They're here. Sarah grabbed my shoulder and pulled me toward the back exit. Move, she whispered. They don't come to talk. Who are they? The ones who think Delaney's just a weapon. And you're the last person he remembers clearly. That makes you leverage. We slipped out the back door as tires ground against gravel in the front. I crouched behind a shed, peering through a crack in the boards. Two men stepped out of a dark SUV, black jackets, no badges, movements clean and synchronized. Not CIA. Not FBI. Not anything with letters. These were the people you hire when you want something erased, not questioned. One man pressed a device to the front door, flat, handheld, with a blinking green light. Directional mic. Surface breach listener. They were checking for movement inside. Sarah tugged my sleeve. Come on. We moved behind the property, slipping through brush until we reached the dirt road. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened. At the curve in the road, a figure stood alone. Tall. Still. Staring directly at us. Delaney. I felt something twist inside me, relief mixed with dread. "Mark," I whispered. Sarah didn't move. She grabbed my arm and held me still. "Look at his hands," she said. He was holding something. A small device. Metal. Familiar. A pulse trigger. Agency tech used to disrupt comms in a tight radius. "Why would he bring that here?" I asked. Sarah's voice was barely a breath. "Because he isn't here to save us." Delaney walked forward. Step by step. Slow. Measured. Like he was following a script someone else wrote. "Michael," he said softly. I felt my throat close. He'd never said my name like that. Empty, rehearsed, as if he were trying to remember how to sound human. "What are you doing?" I asked. His eyes twitched, like two versions of him were fighting behind them. "I told you not to come." "Why?" "Because they need you quiet." "Who?" "The ones who kept me alive." He lifted the device slightly. Not threatening, but inevitable. Sarah stepped in front of me. "No," she said. "He doesn't belong to them." Delaney blinked, slow, mechanical. "You were warned," he said. Then the pulse device clicked. The world dropped into silence. Not quiet. Silence. Phones died. Radios died. Air felt dense. And from the house behind us, the men in black jackets turned toward the sound. All three parts of this moment locked into place. Delaney walking toward us. The agents moving in. The pulse closing the sky around our heads. Sarah grabbed my wrist. "Run." We sprinted down the dirt road, our footsteps muffled by the dead air the pulse device created. No insects. No wind. No noise except the pounding in my chest. Behind us, Delaney didn't chase. He followed. Slow. Steady. Unstoppable. The two agents from the house weren't far behind him. But something strange happened. They weren't chasing us. They were following him. Like he was the signal, not the threat. Sarah pulled me toward an old drainage tunnel half hidden by overgrown brush. We ducked inside, crouching low. The world outside stayed dark and muted. She held my shoulders still. "Listen," she whispered. I breathed hard, waiting for footsteps, voices, anything. But there was only one sound. A faint, rhythmic tapping. Slow. Precise. Like someone signaling through metal. Tap. Tap. Tap tap. Sarah's face paled. "That's not him," she whispered. "That's them." "Who?" "The ones who built the program. The ones who used him." The tapping grew louder. Closer. Then stopped. A shadow fell across the tunnel entrance. Delaney's silhouette. He didn't bend down. He didn't reach in. He just stood there, like he was listening to something none of us could hear. "Michael," he said calmly, "they're almost done rewriting me. When they finish, I won't know your name." My chest tightened. "But right now," he continued, "I still do." He placed the device on the ground outside the tunnel. "If you want to save me," he said, "you have to find the original file. The one they took from the archive." "How?" I asked. His breath shook, just once. "Follow the people who aren't chasing you," he said. "The ones watching from far away. They're not the enemy. Not yet." Before I could ask what he meant, a voice shouted from behind him. "Target, stop." The agents. Delaney turned slightly. And in that half second, his eyes met mine again. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything you're about to learn." Then he walked away toward them. Not running, not resisting. Just walking. As if he believed he had no other choice. Sarah grabbed my arm. "We have to go," she said. "Before they triangulate again." "But Delaney." "He's buying us time," she said. "Don't waste it." We crawled through the tunnel, out the other side, and ran across the dried creek bed toward the dark tree line. Only when we reached cover did I turn back. The agents were surrounding Delaney. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't speaking. He just stood there under the broken moonlight. A man who had been rebuilt by hands that never planned to give him back. Sarah placed a hand on my shoulder. "This isn't the end," she said. "It's the first door." The wind picked up again. First faint, then full. The pulse device must have powered down. And as the air came back to life around us, one thought settled into my chest like a weight I knew I'd carry for the rest of my life. Delaney wasn't a survivor. He was a message. And the people who sent him weren't finished with me yet.